Architecture for Media Tech Social at Web Summit with Mark Brennan, Head of Digital Marketing and Innovation for AIB Bank. How are you doing, mate?
Very well, very well. How are you? Welcome to Dublin.
Thank you so much. It's my second time here, and you know, it's incredible, isn't it? They've gone from, in 4 years, 400 people to 3,000 to 10,000 to 20,000.
Yeah, I think it's 22 is the latest I heard from my colleagues in the Web Summit, so it's fantastic.
People that snuck in through the back door.
Yeah, I think so. But it's buzzing, and the place is absolutely hopping, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant for the tech sector, and it's brilliant for Dublin and Ireland, so it's great.
Absolutely. So I've been on this stand, and I've been just, really impressed by a number of different things. I mean, firstly, one thing that we always pick up on with some large companies when we come over is that it's very interesting how you're seeing these large ships slowly twisting around to talk to startups and small tech companies. I mean, last year we talked to PayPal about how they were working with Seed Camp to, create startup programs. And here you are, you've got, you're giving away Instagram pictures, you're doing an Instagram collage, you've got your backed by AIB hashtag on the back of t-shirts, little cool R. Kelly reference on the front of t-shirts. How did you start thinking about sprucing up the brand and modernizing it to talk to a much younger entrepreneurial demographic?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I joined AIB Bank 12 months ago. My background is digital marketing and innovation from the UK, digital agency side, and there's a whole new marketing team in AIB, and the focus is very much on building the brand and setting it up for success in the future, and that means very much changing, and as you referenced, it's actually sometimes quite hard to change quickly in large organizations, but I guess people always overestimate what they can change in a year and underestimate what they can do in 3 years. As soon as you start to get that big ship moving, the change can be absolutely huge after that. So I guess our approach very much is to be first and foremost to put our customer first, and that is just paramount, to always be useful for our customers, to communicate with them, whether they're business, tech, startups, or personal customers, in simple, plain English, explain things, and most of all, and the bit that I love the most is to break a convention, so to do things that just other banks aren't doing, and that's the big thing. And so for us, it's about opening ourselves up, getting, feeding off the passion and the energy of our customers and startups in the tech community, to really evolve our business going forward.
So people like me in marketing, we look at content, we look at brand, and born cynics amongst us will come in and say, okay, well look, they've got this cool Instagram thing going on, they've hired an ex-agency brand guy, he's got a senior position, he wears a blue t-shirt, but let's remove some of the cynicism. What's happening under the hood with the nuts and bolts of the bank that take what you're doing to more than just trying to get loans into the hands of startups?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess that's the big thing, that not just my organization, but a lot of the financial sector in general has historically been quite reluctant to really engage in open conversations, okay? And you can understand why. There's a whole thing around privacy and people's money and all, you have to respect that. But I guess for me, it's what really pleased me over the last 12 months is just how we are using our partnerships and our platforms to really open ourselves up for an open dialogue. So for example, we do Google Hangouts with our head of mortgages, okay, for first-time buyers, and they can ask questions live in the open for free, access to anyone, and all that content then at the end of the Google Hangout gets posted to our YouTube channel. So that's someone, if you wanted to book a meeting with, I would struggle to get a meeting with that person. They're head of our mortgage bank. But that's about opening ourselves up and giving access to anyone, and that drives a much more positive conversation. For us, we have a specific business Twitter handle, so we actually use that to listen to what our customers want and then provide content that we think is useful for them. So much more, particularly in the startup space, we pride ourselves on being the best, the #1 bank for startups in Ireland. Yes, finance is something that is important, but actually a lot of it is mentoring, advice, networks, and actually really opening ourselves up. So for example, we have, I think it's the 11th most popular website in Ireland on a monthly basis. So, people advertise very heavily to appear on the most important websites. And so we're taking that owned space that we could use and sharing that with our really high potential startups so that they can get exposure. We also do that with our branch network. So the local branch business guys can feature their startup of the month in a branch. So again, we get high footfall into our branch location at a local level, and that's really starting to get traction on the ground. And then we also have a fantastic startup accelerator in conjunction with the Irish Times, which is a 12-week program, and we've been going around the whole of Ireland, down to communities all over north, south, east and west, getting startups to pitch and getting them to go forward for this incubator where they will get, yes, they will get some funding, but they will get a lot of mentoring and really connections, actually. I think that people are really start to twig that the power of people's network can really deliver far more than potentially finance. Finance is important, and we have our finance package, of course, and we have our startup package, which is free banking, etc., for very new startups. But really, I think nowadays it's about so much more than that, and I think that's why we're trying to open ourselves up to be part of that conversation.
So when did this start happening? Because you see, offering up retail space in your physical branch, offering up real estate on your high traffic website, which is all about finding new customers and all about doing the finance deals that consumer finance banks need to do. Did that require a DNA change, a cultural change at the very top level for the bank?
So yes and no. So funnily, a lot of it was done pre the internet. When the branches were the core of the community, that's what they did. The local branch manager would go and do that, and they'd network and they'd talk and they'd connect businesses, etc. And I think that actually, the internet comes along, it's very disruptive, and everyone goes to the transactional space, and people forget that actually you can deliver a lot of warmth and connections through that. We had a whole change of our senior leadership about 3 years ago. So, David Duffy, our CEO, is very, very tech enabled, and he's very, very open to change, and he's driving a lot of change through the business, and that filters down. And so, we've been on a journey, and we continue on that journey. But there is definitely a mind shift at the top in the recent years with people like David and Brennan, who are really open and focused on delivering a lot of value to our customers and putting our customers at the heart of our business. Because in time, we understand our customers win, we win, and the country wins. And that's the kind of cyclical kind of value exchange that I think was missing for a while. And I think we've gone back to that, and that's what we're focused on.
So between David, Bernard, and yourself, I've been coming to Ireland for quite a few years. Over the last decade, I popped in 2 or 3 times. And do you guys feel like any kind of sense of pressure from changing the message about the doom and gloom and the macroeconomy and things that are happening in property to kind of there's hope, there's innovation, there's life, and kind of almost like inject that kind of San Francisco / US enthusiasm into startups? And how do you define a startup?
So I guess so in terms of startup, how we define it is kind of any business starting off, and that's it. And we have a kind of a 3-year period where we give them that chance. So yes, tech is a big sector. We also have non-tech startups as well, whether that be agri or retail or whatever it is. Technology is having such a disruptive effect across loads of verticals that actually a lot of them tend to be tech. Therefore, a presence at the website is very important. But I guess how we really changes. So the CMO Tom Kinsella came in, so he's the guy who hired me, and he developed an entire brand strategy along with the rest of the business to bring our brand forward, and a lot of that has been taken on and championed by the senior leadership, and you can start to see the changes. And it really is about doing things simply but very well, but for the best interest of our customers. And that's when you get to that kind of level of clarity and thinking, it's very easy to start to affect change. Because really, the troops on the ground, they want that. They're the people who are customer facing. They get it. They see their customers all the time, and they want to do the right job for their customers. So,
I love some of the stuff that you're talking about in terms of like what I call an inside out and an outside in strategy. So inside out, turning the company inside out and offering transparency, particularly at senior levels with the head of mortgages and so on. But from an outside in perspective, from all this this back and forth that you've now got with the community and with your market, what are some of the trends you're noticing, particularly in the technology startup space? We've heard a lot more interest around artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality, drones. But what feedback are you getting in the upper rankings from entrepreneurs and startups and what they're looking at investing in?
Obviously, so the fintech space is exploding, right? And it's obviously a huge threat and an opportunity for us. So that's a kind of a very, that's a very focused area for us in terms of...
Which area is that?
Fintech, so financial technology. Sorry, I'm starting to use the lingo. But that whole kind of payment space, mobile payments, online payments, Apple Pay coming out. So there's really big disruption coming in that space. But for me, I guess the kind of thing I'm really focused on in my role is that kind of merging between the real world and the digital world, where because consumers don't see the difference, right? And actually, I think the big gains can be made by delivering a seamless customer experience from digital into the real, back onto the digital world. So, you know, if you have the conversation as a customer, you get frustrated if you have to repeat yourself again and again and again. So what we're trying to do is kind of really deliver that omni-channel, which is, you know, that experience that no matter where you come into our business and where you leave and the journey you take through that, it's as seamless and as frictionless as possible, and it's as easy and enjoyable for you. It's difficult, it's not easy, we're not saying we're there yet, but that's the road that we're on, and that's the kind of, that's the goal that we're trying to deliver. And again, it's just down to the basics of trying to deliver seamless customer experience.
I was at the Branders Social Conference in London last week, and they had a whole panel on omnipresence, and I really felt that coming away from that the success in Omni is not just a case of the company having a 360 view of the customer, but when the customer accesses the company from 360 degrees, that the experience is always the same, and that must require a lot of policing. I mean, how do you create the same tactile touch and feel across branch, web, mobile?
And it's also challenging when you know in our business. So, you know, all of the security and the protocols we have to put in place, you know, which people kind of skip through, and startups can just go out and produce an app because it does one tiny section of what we do. That is challenging for us to kind of, we can innovate, but then taking that innovation, and we have tons, you know, we have an entire kind of change team that act like a startup within the business. And so they reinvent, they're our process reinvention team, they try to reinvent our processes, and then we try to take that, and the guys in IT really try to industrialize that so that it's robust enough for us to release at scale to our customers. And that's a challenge for us.
And that's compliance, right, which is a very traditional part of finance.
Yes, I mean, it's compliance, but it's also information security, making sure that, you know, everything is robust. You know, at the end of the day, it's people's money. You have to respect it, and you have to treasure that. And there's a whole thing around security and privacy that you really have to stay true to. You know, they're the fundamentals of it.
Well, Mark, thank you so much, for taking the time to talk to us. You guys have got a brilliant execution here on the front line. And for any more information, including links to AIB down below and some of the programs that they're doing, then just click in the YouTube description. Make sure you subscribe to MediaTek Social. Thanks for joining us. I'm Raj Kotecha, Mark Brennan. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Enjoy Dublin.
Thank you. Cheers.